and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Ron Paul Revolution Radio. I'm Rossi, and my co-host Brocky is off for today. We have returning a very special guest who was with us last week. We have Santos Bonacci calling in from early morning hours down in Australia. Santos seeks to empower others to claim their full dominion, and in the fullest sense of that word. He has several very interesting presentations free for viewing on the topic of what he calls, quote, the holy science. The science of as above, so below, which he sees as the ancient science based on the workings of the solar system. Santos has many new and fascinating projects in the works that are just about guaranteed to blow the lid off our current paradigms of law, science, and religion. Santos aims to empower everyone to not only claim their dominion, but to become the glorious sovereign individuals we are meant to be. It's time to speak truth to power, and let's get on with creating the world we want to live in, focusing our energies on the already changing paradigms in law, science, and religion. Welcome to the program, Santos.
Yeah, thank you kindly. Very nice, warm welcome.
It's so wonderful to have you back. I want to plug your YouTube channel. I hope if anybody out in the listening audience is not familiar with Santos Bonacci's Mr. Astrotheology on YouTube, there's hours upon hours of fabulous, in-depth information that will just it's paradigm shifting. It's empowering. It's just wonderful information we've all been waiting for, and it also. Again, congratulations on your new website. It looks fabulous, universaltruthschool.com. So, well, we were going to discuss, last time you were with us, we touched the surface and started digging into the Hermetic foundings of the United States of America. And I thought that we had made two very important points in that first hour, Santos. You'd been reading from that book, the book Your Church Doesn't Want You to Read, and two of the very important Hermetic philosophical principles that were clearly defined was that, number one, the concept of separation of church and state is a Hermetic principle, and the second is the permission of the governed rather than the will of God. These were huge differences from the old world to the new world. Let's see, Santos, are you still there? He talked about the likes of Sir Francis Bacon. I do believe I hear Santos. Santos, are you with us?
Absolutely.
So at any rate, where would you like to pick up to continue this fascinating discovery and exploration of the Hermetic foundings of the United States?
Yes, well, I think I didn't really get a chance to cover the Puritan side of the argument. We discussed that the Hermetists were very prominent in the founding of the Republic of the United States of America.
Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Paine. So we got Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Paine, and I was saying to the listening audience you would probably add a few more other names to that. Yes,
George Washington, Monroe, all of these guys, they were illumined men. So they were deists. They were not theists. So the Puritans that came along after the Pilgrims and the Hermetists, these were a different bunch of people. Now, I did touch on that, and I'm reading out of the book Your Church Doesn't Want You to Read, and it's an article by Stephen A. Howler, and from his book, The Alchemy of a Voluntary Society, which was published by Quest Books on June 1992. Okay? So now what I'm dealing with is I'm going to be talking about the Puritan side of things. How's that sound?
Sounds fair.
Yeah, we did discuss a little bit about that. But the Hermetists, of course, were the people who set up a government which was separate religion from state. This is a very, very important factor to keep in mind, because in Europe, religion and state were merged together as one, and Rome administered the state by the hand of God, you see. So Rome, like other empires before it, saw the need to control the masses and give comfort to the masses. You see, Rome invented the idea of bread and circuses because they realized that many of the people in the empire did not have high spiritual evolution. They did not have great education, and simply because some people did not want to be educated. They did not want to know and to have enlightenment. So it's a very clever move by Rome, actually, and it probably suited the times. It probably did really suit the times. But these days, this system is just unsuitable. Since the days of the founding of America, the New Atlantis, according to Manly P. Hall, this system of government, state and religion, hand in glove, just does not suit mankind. And it may have been, I mean, I wasn't around, 1,500 years ago to judge and to be able to say that it didn't work. It may have worked for some reason, but it's still slavery. And so we see that these fine founding fathers, these deists, they acknowledged a creator, but they did not acknowledge a theocratic interventionalist God, which was being put forward by Christendom. You see, Christendom has, their God is theocratic, so he's patriarchal and hierarchical. So there's a hierarchy in all of the Christian churches, and patriarchy rules. Women are forbidden to speak. Women are forbidden to take all the responsibilities that men are allowed to have. And they worship a theocratic God, a God who acknowledges the organization and order in the universe. And he intervenes and makes sure that man gets all his necessary needs and necessities as he grows, you see, because these religions are based on a very materialistic outlook. They believe literally, as Genesis describes the creation of man, that man was made from the dust of the earth. So they think that everything to do with man and woman has its creation and its beginning on this planet Earth. So they deny that that we came from the heavens, that our origin is spiritual. According to the churches, our origin is absolutely, purely physical from this earth, just like the Darwinian theory. So, in other words, what they're doing is they're denying our spiritual origins. Now, the Hermetists, on the other hand, teach that we come from spirit, from the cause, from unconditioned consciousness. And our bodies, our fleshly bodies, are a kind of a vestment that were given to us in the bottom kingdom of the earth as our souls descended through the arches of the planets. And those are the seven heavens. We descend to reach incarnation on this beautiful planet, the earth, where we are clothed with physical bodies of the elements of the earth: nitrogen, oxygen, helium, hydrogen, sulfur, calcium, etc. So, with the Hermetist doctrine or teaching, because our origin is of cause, from spirit, we ascend back to spirit. So it's a natural process, and it's our birthright. Because we were created in the higher realms, we must return to the higher realms. Whereas the churches tell you that God created a body out of the dust of the earth and then breathed spirit into the body, and man became a living soul. So there's the intervention. Now, the other intervention is that God had to provide a savior because we sinned. So we do not automatically ascend to the place where we came from through our spiritual and physical evolution. We must rely on belief in a Saviour. And he's going to come along, he's going to intervene and miraculously bring us back to that heavenly place where we came from.
Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Santos Bonacci. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Ron Paul Revolution Radio. I'm Rossi. My distinguished co-host Brocky is off for today. We have returning with us today Santos Bonacci. Santos, such a pleasure to have you. Let's see, you had started on to the topic of original sin. And you know what comes to my mind? If the breath was breathed into our nostrils, into the dirt that we were made of, well then... And we must have caught that original sin from that breath or something.
Well, yeah. Look, the doctrine of original sin is the biggest misinformation and misunderstanding of the scriptures in history. And it has caused so much suffering.
Yes.
Yeah, it really has. It's just that the priestcraft have either deliberately or through ignorance, sheer ignorance, have been teaching a doctrine which is so offensive and absurd and obnoxious that we have been suffering and persecuted and being killed and led to the slaughter in all kinds of inquisitions because of it. Because the priestcraft now are handling the administration of God's affairs on the earth because we're a bunch of sinners and we need to be guided and instructed back to salvation, and we need their doctrines. And so here we have 30,000 registered Christian denominations. And they're all supremacists and elitists, because if you join the Jehovah's Witnesses, you can rest assured that all the other 29,999 are going to hell. If you join the Mormons, you can rest assured that the Jehovah's Witnesses, who thought that they were debunking and dethroning everybody else from salvation, they now are the supremacists. And you, who belong to another church, are a buffoon and on the highway to hell. Then you go over to the Baptists, and so on and so forth. Now, I continually mention these things. I'll probably say this on every interview because we have to put things into perspective and see what the religions are really doing, rather than bringing some kind of good, lasting good to mankind. We just have to look at their track record. You know, you'll recognize them by their fruits. They are supremacist elitists that are dividing the earth and our communities in every single way. They are not part of the solution, they are the problem. They are sitting on their hands in terms of doing anything proactively that might benefit the race, because they're told to don't you get involved in political matters because God has a controversy with the devil and he will sort it out. You sit back and you just watch and be faithful to God. Now, getting back to what I was saying about the church's viewpoint of how we get to heaven, you see, because they don't deny that we are on the path to heaven, but they tell you that it's undeserved. God gave his son historically, in a very, very historical, bloodletting context. He came to be sacrificed as a human being on this planet in the historical sense to save us, because we were all doomed sinners who were created on the earth, had the breath of life given to us by God. We sinned and made a mistake. Therefore, now there's only one way back to heaven, and that is belief in a historical Jesus Christ. Now, how that's going to save you, I don't think they've got answers to how that's going to save you, but they believe it's going to save them. That is going to save them. You know, it's like telling a child that, don't worry about studying and your homework and everything like that. You just You know, when the moment comes for you to take your tests and, you know, and succeed and what have you, this fairy is going to pop out of the invisible, and she's just going to give you all the answers and give you all the salvation and all the, and you're going to pass your tests. No, if you do not do your homework and your studies, you will not be the best in the class. You will not understand the subject. You might have a good memory and you might pass a test, but it doesn't mean that you have mastered that subject for which you studied many, many years.
Right.
So in other words, we've been granted this wonderful life, this wonderful opportunity to grow and transcend. You know, even though we're not perfect, well, we are perfect in a sense, but we can see clearly that we have vices and virtues. We have traits that are sometimes negative. We get angry, and you know, we see our brothers killing, and we see envy. We see all these negative qualities out there. Well, they are there so that we can transcend them. Wouldn't it be lovely to be able to transcend any jealousy that you might have? Wouldn't it be lovely to transcend any anger? Because it only does the physical organism harm, and spiritually it does you harm to be angry. Well, yes, it would be great. So as we work on ourselves and transcend in order to ascend, we get great pleasure and delight and joy from watching our own spiritual growth. So we see that we must put the effort in. We must save ourselves. You know, we must awaken and put in the effort and then get the goods at the finishing line.
You know, Santos, my father used to say to me growing up, he was a Catholic altar boy. And but he was also very mafioso, he left the church. I was not raised in the church, but I certainly suffered the culture of the church. But he would always say, yes, kid, faith can move a mountain, but you better bring your shovel. And words like that, yeah. But, you know.
Yeah, you said it. You know, try and tell someone like Mark Spitz, who won 7 gold medals at the Olympic Games. Try and tell him, you know, look, don't be so keen to go to the swimming pool every morning and do 30 laps, Mark. You know, let's go and have a coffee. How about some drinks tonight? I've got some girls coming around, and you know, let's just go on a holiday. I mean, you have to prepare for the Olympic Games. And then you get your gold medal, and you stand, you know, on that platform, and you put that medal around your neck because you did the work. All the lazy ones, they're not going to get it.
You know, you've brought to my thought. I obviously went to college, and one of the things that came up, I believe it was in a history class, they talked about the so-called Protestant work ethic, and that was what we were attributing our industrial, entrepreneurial, survival, you know, spirit of the, by and large, immigration population of the United States, was that we were so successful because of our Protestant work ethic. Does the Hermetic philosophy or the Hermetic writings, do they talk to this directly that you can recall?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's so erroneous to say, you know, talk about a Protestant work ethic. First of all, it's materialism and capitalism. That's all it is. Because the Protestant churches are funded by the elites. Simple as that. Every single church will not survive in Christendom without the monarchies, the Vatican, and the elites, these criminal cabals, pouring massive amounts of money into these churches to keep them going. B'nai B'rith, that's another organisation which funds all these Protestant churches. You know, I mean, there's plenty of evidence of this. You can just dig around on the internet if that's you don't have the books to consult. But there's plenty of evidence to support this. It is capitalism and materialism at its grossest. These people do not understand anything spiritual. Hence, The Lord will say unto them in that day, Get away from me, you workers of lawlessness. I never knew you. No matter how much they cried, Lord, Lord, didn't we prophesy in your name and expel demons and perform wonderful works in your name and cure people and preach the good news and the glad tidings to all nations and what have you? It doesn't matter what they jump up and say, Lord, Lord, they did. They will be denied because their works are pure fleshly. And as I said before, as a build-up to what I'm about to read about Puritan America, this so-called Protestant work ethic, America was founded on freedom, separation of church and state, on deism, respect for a creator, not a theocratic God. All these corrupted lies and notions that Americans are being taught in school today come from a very short memory. You see, Americans forget that the Vatican and the Puritans came with their onslaught to make sure that they would choke the newly found freedom of the Americas, of the Hermetists that were fleeing in their droves from the persecution of the Inquisition. And the Vatican was hot on their heels. And the Vatican Federal Reserve System is the money behind the false information that Americans have been shoved down their throats, that it's a Christian country and we need to go back to Christian principles and restore the teachings of Christ in our schools, otherwise America will go to hell. No, what we need to do is remember that America is a republic. It is a constitutional republic. That might not be perfect, but it's far better than capitalism and democracy, which is yes. Vatican
Absolutely.
And empire. Absolutely.
I am always disheartened when I hear of all these do-good, nonprofits or NGOs that say that they want to help spread democracy in other countries, and I see young people, I've actually written to Code Pink and a few other organizations and said, do you really understand what democracy is? I don't think you honestly are wanting to spread democracy. I think you need to find the proper wording. And Santos, I've struggled with them myself to provide them the new wording. You're setting, you want to be setting freedom and liberty, not democracy. You don't want to be spreading democracy. And whenever I see that, I just cringe. And the other comment I had to what you were saying is that I love the Declaration of Independence where it says, all men are created equal by their creator, and endowed by their creator with unalienable rights. Well, if you're a Christian, you're going to see God. If you're a Muslim, you're going to see Allah. If you're an evolutionist, you're going to see Mother Earth. If you're a deist, you're going to see the ether or the, if you're a hermeticist. The word creator is like a progress in the language that actually allows us to move further into freedom and liberty, which is an absolutely brand new concept. Liberty and freedom are new to this world. Tyranny and everything that we're discussing, that's the old, and that's what's creeping up on us again. So, but please continue about the Puritans and the...
Yeah, look, those are lovely thoughts too, by the way. I'd like to just say something about that because, freedom will be reinstated to this planet. It will. The evil that has come about, what we call evil, which is undeveloped good, has come about because we have defaulted on our part of keeping the balance between the forces of evil and the forces of good. We have defaulted. We have fallen asleep through natural cycles and also through indoctrination by Rome, because the elites have been busy doing this to us. But rest assured that freedom and our true religion / science, which is based on Hermetic principles, which teaches that we have spiritual causes, spiritual origins, and we will ascend back to that place whence we came. We are alien to this planet. The only thing that belongs to this planet that we have are the elements in our bodies, the nitrogen and carbon, etc.
Absolutely. Well, you hear that break music. Ladies and gentlemen, Santos Bonacci with us for the full 2 hours. Stay tuned for the commercial breaks. We'll be right back. Thank you. Welcome back to Ron Paul Revolution Radio. I'm Rossi. Brocky is off for today. We have back with us a high in-demand speaker, Santos Bonacci. Ladies and gentlemen, got to go see universaltruthschool.com. Just a fascinating, great website to start a very good, in-depth exploration of a lot of different things, but mainly about Santos's presentation on the holy science, the ancient science based on the workings of the solar system, reclaiming your dominion. Go to his YouTube username, Mr. Astrotheology. I guarantee you will spend no less than 12 hours or more there, just soaking up the information you've been looking for. Santos Bonacci is the person we've been waiting for, who can articulate and bring these things in very simple layman terms. It's just such a pleasure to know you, Santos. So welcome back to Ron Paul Revolution Radio.
Yeah, thank you very kindly, Charlotte.
And we're talking about the Hermetic foundings of the United States, and a lot of people, there's a great tension right now within this country. People are actually waking up out of the Puritan paradigm, and starting to step away and looking for new information and new insights. And boy, you are just where they need to go. You connect so many dots. Of course, I don't want to deviate too far, but would you again remind the listening audience a little bit about your background and your travel through the Jehovah's Witness and how you came to be a presenter of this profound information?
Yeah, okay, let's try and do that real succinctly because it's
a long journey, huh?
Yeah, really long, and it's hard to tell it in say 5 minutes because I will be leaving chunks of information out. But just the brief details, if you like. I was baptized a Jehovah's Witness in 1985, and so I was, but I was brought up a witness. My parents became witnesses when I was about 2 or 3, just after my Catholic baptism. So I was brought up as a witness, and then I became a teenager. And you know what happens when you become a teenager, right? All of a sudden, you start waking up. This is the first awakening, right? Adolescence. All of a sudden, that innocence is gone. So how did I use that new energy? Well, I left the witnesses. I realized back then, I realized that was a restrictive kind of a theology, a church. And my consciousness was expanding. I was awakening as an adolescent. And somehow I realized that it was not the path of freedom. So I left them. And I just did the usual teenage things. What a teenager would do, go out with your mates and chase girls and all of that stuff. Now, later in my teens, around 18, 19, I started thinking about pondering spiritual themes, and I gravitated to the Jehovah's Witnesses because that's what I knew. I thought, well, I want to serve God. I want to do the right thing. I want to know the truth. I want to be spiritual. I want to do what I came here to do in a spiritual sense and find fulfillment. And so I thought that was the right way to go. So I was baptized.
But it was it not, in the sense that you learned so much by going through that experience? You wouldn't be who you are today.
Yeah, spot on. And I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful for it. It's like, my first marriage didn't work out, but I've got a beautiful son. He's 19. He's a musician like myself. He's a rapper, and his lyrics are absolutely amazing. He loves the guys, the old school guys like Tupac, and so what a treasure. I'm a very good friend of my first wife, and although the marriage didn't work out, I'm thankful. I'm thankful now. Now I'm in my second marriage, and so you progress, and you can embrace the past. You can embrace what you call mistakes, but are they mistakes? Well, no, I don't consider my beautiful son to be a mistake because the marriage that begot him didn't work out.
Exactly. I have a friend. We like to think of every relationship, and this is to be a temple of initiation, sort of. We learn from each other, and that's very different from the married till death do us part in front of the whole world, and being forced to be married. But at any rate, yeah, every relationship you learn something. There's no doubt.
Yes, it's wonderful. It's wonderful, and what I'm thankful for in the path that I took. 22 years of being a literalist Christian, in other words, stuck in the belief that there was a literal man, Jesus, who came to save me, and I must have faith and belief in him to be saved. Of course, now I understand what Christianity really is and who Jesus really is.
Right.
But what I'm thankful for by taking that path is that I really did study the Bible. I know the Jewish and Greek scriptures backward. I know them backward. I know every verse in the Bible because I loved it. I love the Bible. And I've never been able to knock it like certain philosophers who have become atheists. Now, I'm not saying, that the philosophers like Voltaire, who had a go at the Bible, and they considered it to be very, very gross because it had all these obnoxious, obscene stories in there about death and pillaging and raping and murder, and these people are holy people. Like Samson, who kills 30 men just to steal their underwear to give to his 30 buddies who guessed his riddle at his wedding. And so he just, he grabs this club and he goes donk, 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 and he knocks out 30 Philistines, right? And he takes their underwear off them and their garment, and he chugs along over to these 30 guys and he says, "Here you go. I'm a man of God. I just killed 30 blokes for this underwear because I didn't know where else I could get underwear."
Well, it is sort of, if you're not understanding its connection to the as above, so below, of course it would seem nonsensical.
Of course, come on, Jonah in the belly of a whale. Well, interesting stomach acid you have here, Mr. Whale. I'm enjoying the feeling on my skin. Now,
digested.
Yes, these are stories, and I learnt these stories. I learnt them good. And now I understand that those stories are to be told in the as above.
The roots of our Constitution, and that is that it's not a Christian document. It is a document of deism, and it's a document of Hermetic thought, you might say, or... So I was plugging your websites again.
Yeah, and that's a good point there, Charlotte, because the Bible is pure Hermes. There is nothing in there. There are no words that are original to Jesus that were not from Hermes. And all you have to do is read the Hermetica and you will prove that fact for yourself. It's a fact. There is nothing original, nothing that was said by Jesus, a supposed historical person, that was not said by Hermes before him, or any of the teachers of the Prisca Theologia. The Prisca Theologia, or the ancient theology, is the holy science. And it was invented by Hermes. Now, who is Hermes? Hermes is Thoth. Thoth is the right brain, the feminine brain. You see, Thoth, or Thoth, or Hermes, or Mercury, in fact, the planet Mercury, keep that in mind, the closest planet to the sun. Hermes, see, let's find out who Hermes is, shall we? Let's do it in the scientific approach. And I mean physical and metaphysical now.
Oh, okay. Hold that thought. That's a fabulous one, and we'll do it right after the break. Stay with us, ladies and gentlemen. Santos Bonacci.
Welcome to the world's meeting place. American.
It's practically narcotic.
Freedom.
Oh, yes, I like very much.
Radio.
You're an American institution.
American Freedom Radio.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Ron Paul Revolution Radio. We're on our second hour. We have our distinguished guest, Santos Bonacci, with us, and my distinguished co-host, Brocky, will be joining us again on Wednesday. Santos, we went to break. You had a fabulous thought. Would you please continue with your train of thought?
Okay, so we're trying to identify Hermes because we're talking about the Hermetic founding of the Republic, the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America, founded on Hermes, not Christianity. Now, who is Hermes? Well, Hermes in the Roman language is Mercury, and we know that the closest planet to the Sun is Mercury. Now, in order to understand what Mercury means to us, there are 7 visible planets in our solar system. Imagine our solar system as a person, as a large person, a human being, okay? Imagine it like yourself, a larger version of you. And the 7 planets inside the solar system, and I'm not ignoring Uranus and Neptune and Pluto in doing so. We include those, but we must stick with 7, the number 7 here, okay? For a very, very special reason, and I'll get to that. But our solar system is a physical organism, and it is also a psychic and spiritual organism. The 7 planets make up the full soul of the solar system, the Elohim, the 7 Elohim, the creators of us. Because this is what it means, as above, so below. We are a solar system. Our solar system is like us, and the galaxy is like a bigger solar system, etc., etc. As above, so below. Now, Mercury, that planet, is the intellect principle of every person. It is the thought, it is thoth, it is the thinking, rational processes, the messenger of the God, because it's the closest to the sun. In the East, Mercury is called Buddha. In the Jewish, it is called Moses. In the Chaldean, it is called Nebo. Nebuchadnezzar was named after Nebo, just like Hermes is named after Nebo. Moses died on Mount Nebo. In another system, he is Merodach. So we're beginning to get a picture of who Hermes is. He is the one with the stylus. He is the writer, and he has the tablets. Just like Moses has 2 tablets, and he is the writer who writes the law of God, doesn't he? Interesting when we discover who Moses really is. I mean, it tells you that Moses is Hermes, and Marsilio Ficino, the Renaissance Hermetist who translated the Hermetica, he was correct when he identified Moses as being Hermes, because the one with the stylus and the inkhorn, the messenger, the one who writes down the law of God, that's Hermes, that's us. Mercury's always holding in his right hand, he's holding the staff of God, the caduceus, with the 2 intertwined serpents and the wings. Those wings, they represent the 2 tablets of the law of God that Moses gave unto the people of Israel. And the 12 tribes of Israel are us. We are the 12 tribes of Israel. I'm Aryan. You are, what's your sign?
Capricorn. But I'm actually Sagittarius rising. Well, Sagittarius Scorpio rising.
Okay, so you belong to the tribe of Capricorn. And, you know, that's your father's tribe. That's where the sun is. Your moon.
Oh, I get that.
Your moon is your mother's tribe, you see, and the Jews respect the mother's lineage, and so did the Egyptians. So they gave that supremacy. They gave that to Isis, the moon, and the moon. Then the moon sign becomes important for your mother's race. So we all belong to the 12 tribes of Israel. That's how it worked.
Right.
All of the race of Adama. You see, in Genesis, when God made Adam, he said, and God called them the Adama. It didn't say he called Adam one person, the Adama. He called the race the Adama. Because Adam is, in fact, the zodiac. Because in the zodiac, in astrology, you have an ascendant, and opposite the ascendant, you have a descendant, and the line that you draw vertically through the circle is called the meridian. And those three letters make the name Adam. Adam is the zodiac, and we are children of the zodiac. Now, so we've identified who Hermes is, okay? This is very important. We realize that it's the thinking, it's the right brain. And Hermes is a hermaphrodite. Aphrodite. So Hermes and Aphrodite in Greek are the male and the feminine principles. And they are merged into one androgynous creature, and that is the very unique planet in our solar system, which has two natures. It is bisexual. It is Mercury, the planet Mercury. So it is an active force in the solar system. Just like the sun is the light of the world and it illuminates our mind, well, Mercury is the rational intellect process of the individual. And the solar system is an individual. It is an individual that has 7 chakras. Those 7 chakras, the 7 planets, correspond to the 7 chakras in our body. See, this is what it means, as above, so below. What happens in the causal world is also happening in our bodies. So this is why it's important to know where the sun is. You see, the sun is in the sign of Scorpio right now, and that means something in our own bodies and in our own constitutions, because what is in the cause is in the effect. So what that is doing by the sun, the electric focal point of our solar system being in the sign of Scorpio, means many, many things to us on this planet. First of all, the scorpion was the sign, the backbiter, that betrays the sun after the sun goes through the scales of Libra. So once the scales go through the sign of Libra every year, the sun is judged in those scales, and at the equinox on September the 21st, and the sun plunges down and falls all the way down to the winter solstice on December the 21st. And that fall is called autumn, the season of the fall of the sun. The sun falls and plunges to its death in winter on the 21st of December and is crucified as it crossifies or crosses the solstice, the solstitial point. So the hero who gave us 6 months of beautiful summer and photosynthesis and fruits and harvest is now dead and betrayed by the sign of Scorpio, because the sun passes through that sign, and that is Judas Iscariot, who betrays the master with a kiss, because the scorpion bite leaves the mark of a kiss, and it bites. It's a backbiter. You see, Judas was defined as the backbiter. And if you look up and notice the sign of the scorpion, you shall see that it is the letter J for Judas. It's a J, and it is Judas, the sign of Judas Iscariot. And Judas Iscariot betrays the master in the Garden of Gethsemane. Well, the Garden of Gethsemane is the sign of Sagittarius next door, the olive press. And in that sign, you see there's always three characters in the Garden of Gethsemane. There's the devil, there's St. Peter who is lingering around, and there's Jesus. Well, that's the sun in Sagittarius, because the sun is Jesus. Jupiter rules Sagittarius, and Jupiter is Jupiter. So he's always in that sign. And one of the deacons of Sagittarius is Draco, the dragon, the devil, the serpent. So the serpent is always there in Sagittarius. He lives there. Jupiter lives there. Peter lives there in the Garden of Gethsemane. And the sun also lives there, and he dies there. Because the arrow of Sagittarius pierces the sun in the heel on the 21st of December, the last day of Sagittarius. Kills the sun. Hercules cops it in the heel. And then 3 days after, on the 25th of December, the sun begins to climb again. And the Gospels narrate that the son is born in a manger. And the Romans called this day the day of the unconquered sun, Dies invictus solis natis, because the sun can never be conquered. Oh yes, it has its enemies, Scorpio, Libra, Sagittarius, Draco, the autumn months, the killers of the sun. But then in Capricorn on the 25th of December, the sun emerges again victorious. And Saturn, who is Satan, rules the sign of Capricorn. And he is always there to usher the winter and to try and destroy the baby child so that it cannot grow and save mankind for another year of harvest. So Saturn attacks Jesus, the sun, as he climbs up out of the winter months. And Aquarius is also ruled by Saturn, so Saturn has another go at Jesus. And then the days of Lent begin in February. And the sun, Lent is short for lengthen. So the sun is lengthening and lengthening and lengthening. And finally it reaches the 21st of March, the equinox. And the sun reaches the sign of its exaltation. Aries is the exaltation of the sun. It is the sign of the Lamb of God that forgives the world. Because it's the Lamb that brings back the summer months, the spring and the summer. And the forgiveness, that's the sign of forgiveness. I mean, what better sign would you want than for the return of summer and the forgiveness over the winter months? And that's why the Jews celebrate the Passover, because the Son, the Saviour, has finally passed over into the sign of the Lamb, and then we eat the Passover lamb. Now, look, I digressed with that little track.
But it was wonderful.
It was worth it.
Yeah.
It was worth it because I can go on and on and on and describe all the biblical events in the sky, in the true gospel. But I won't, because I'm going to go straight back to where we left off. And that was, we were talking about, before I went down the Hermes, describing and identifying who Hermes is, which I think we did well. We were talking about democracy. Now, and you were saying how awful it is when you hear these guys in the media who say, we're going to bring democracy to Iraq, and they think that we're doing such a noble thing. Just like Christopher Columbus and the murderous killers of the indigenous people in the Americas. The Christians who thought, we're going to bring Christianity and save these barbarians. We'll kill a couple of 100 million of them in the meantime because, well, they're not Christians. They're not good enough to live. Let's just decapitate their culture, steal their land, and start a business on there. And eventually we'll call it the United States. And let's have fascism. So this is how I would think when we have expressions like this in the media where they say we need to bring democracy to Libya and we need to bring democracy. It's mob rule. Here is what
sovereignty for the individual. no protection for the individual. When you're talking about democracy, it is mob rules. And that's why we have a superior form of constitutional republic. Our Constitution has within it to protect the divine sovereignty and rights of the individual. And democracy does not have that.
Yeah, please, people.
Yet that's what they're claiming to want to do. They're so befuddled. We need to create a new word, a new meme, or something to help them.
Oh, we need to debunk their media-controlled manipulation of this word. Just look at the fruits. Just look at the fruits of the United States, not the United States of America. Have a look at the fruits of democracy and the
corporation.
Have a look at it.
We got that break, Santos. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Santos Bonacci. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Ron Paul Revolution Radio. I'm Rossi. Brocky is gone for today. He will be rejoining us on Wednesday. We have Santos Bonacci with us. Very blessed. Go to his YouTube channel. Look up Mr. Astrotheology. Check out all his hours and hours of fascinating videos. And please visit his website at universaltruthschool.com. Santos, you were describing who Hermes is, and I think what I understood from that is that Hermes is the balance of the masculine, is it the right brain and the feminine left brain, or do I have that backwards? But it's the balance of the masculine and the feminine mind into one. And did our founders did they know of this?
Yes, they did. They did know of Hermes. They were Hermetists. They clearly understood the underlying true science that was in the Bible. In fact, Thomas Paine said that he said the famous words, which I will just flick a few pages over and quote for you. I know it's in here somewhere, about the sun. Now, he said, the Christian, and I'm quoting from The Age of Reason, the Christian religion is a parody on the worship of the sun, in which they put a man, whom they call Christ, in the place of the sun, and pay him the same adoration which was originally paid to the sun. Did I just read what I just read?
Yeah.
Now, it sounds like what I've just been saying for an hour, doesn't it? Now, this is Thomas Paine. Now, Thomas Paine knew this. He knew that the sun and the solar system was a model of us as above. We're just a model of the solar system below. And he knew that the stories in the Bible were talking about our brother next door, or our brothers next door, the Elohim, the rulers of this solar system that sustain our very existence. We cannot live without the forces of these seven. If the sun suddenly disappeared, we would. If the moon suddenly disappeared, we would. If Mars or any of those other dynamic planets disappeared, it would be a very, very unstable solar system, and something shocking would happen. So he knew that, and he said that the Christian religion is a parody on the worship of the sun, or in other words, the respect of our older brother, who is the as above, because above him is another one, and another one, because our solar system is 8 degrees removed from the central solar sun of the universe, the prime cause, the prime creator. Our sun is 8 degrees removed. So there are 7 other higher orders that go back to the cause. And so we respect and honor our sun, who is the light of the world, our Savior. You see, you begin to understand the scriptures. Now, so we're starting to sort of identify who these characters are. But in particular, this Moses, the one with the stylus, the writer, the messenger of the God, who writes down the law of God, Mercury, Nebo, Merodach, Hermes, Thoth, Thought. Now, our founding fathers did know about these guys. Here's a quote from Thomas Jefferson about democracy. I wonder what a Hermetist would think about democracy, especially someone like Thomas Jefferson, an Aryan like myself. This is a quote from Thomas Jefferson. A democracy is nothing more than mob rule, where 51% of the people may take away the rights of the other 49. So he knew, because he was a Hermetist. And Hermetists are freedom thinkers. We think for ourselves, and we question authority. Yeah, we don't get taught or indoctrinated as to what to think. We know how to think because we have direct knowledge. And direct knowledge only comes from studying Hermes, nature, by lifting the veil of Isis. You see, and in my videos, I give people the fundamental principles of understanding the cycles of nature. All the cycles of nature, all of them, can be explained with one simple sine wave, a spiral. A spiral which commences at one point and has a terminating point, and as that spiral of energy proceeds through that torus field, it goes through 12 chambers, 12 houses, and they are the 12 signs of the zodiac. Just like the sun passing through one sign for 30 days every month till finally it comes back to the same equinox or solstice. So these little spirals, everything is spiraling. Every atom is spiraling. And as it spirals and it completes one cycle, it goes through 12 states of energy. Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo. These are all states of energy. Aries is cardinal fire. It has a fieriness about it. So it's a radiant sign. Taurus is earth, fixed earth. And earth is solid. It has solidity about it. Gemini is air. Air is cohesive. It is the gas. Because everything is made up of solid, liquid, and gas. And radiance. And these four states, these four elements, fire, earth, air, and water, Yod, He, Va, He, Jehovah, they are the four...
Did you just say Jehovah?
Yeah. Yeah. Jehovah is Yod, He, Va, He. And Yod, He, Va, He, the tetragrammaton, is fire, earth, air, and water. For everything that is created is made of these four elements, these four states, the four rivers that issue from the Garden of Eden, the Pishon, the Euphrates, the Gihon, the Tigris. They are fire, earth, air, and water, solid, liquid, gas, and radiance. And so these little spirals, spirals of energy in fractals, as you go up in fractals, you come to the solar system. It's a spiral. It's a feathered serpent. The feathered serpent, Quetzalcoatl, is our solar system because the planets are following the sun. They do not orbit around the sun. They orbit following the sun. The sun is charging through space, spiraling through space. And the planets follow in its wake, in its field, in its vortex. And they go with the sun and follow the sun wherever it goeth. And we are the Earth, the planet is following. It's following Mercury and Venus. And behind us is Mars and Jupiter and Saturn. And we go wherever it goes. And it's a person, it's a feathered serpent. You see, the word serpent also has the word seven in it. Sept. The great septenary, the sevenfold creation, is the Elohim. We are a septenary. And a septenary is always rounded off to an octave. You see, there are 7 notes in the diatonic music scale. So you see the 7 everywhere. 7 chakras, 7 colours of the rainbow, 7 liberal arts, 7 days of the week, the 7 visible planets, the 7 chambers in the heart, the Septakana tavern, the 7 vital organs in the human body, the 7 orifices in the body, the 7... Everything in creation is a septenary, a serpent.
Yes, because of the sine wave. Right. Tell me a little bit about the how you interpret the flag of the people. When it was its original, the way I understood it, when the United States flag was hung for the people, it was hung horizontally flat, not vertically. So if you wanted to hang your flag as representing the people or the American people, you would hang it. I think I'm saying this right. No, I got that backwards. Vertically. At any rate, my point is, what about the stars and stripes? What about the number 13? The white, the white, the red, the white, the red, the constellation of the stars that are obviously, on that flag. Have you given any thought to the 13 that's on that seems to be what is it? The olive branches in the hand of the eagle. And what is the 13? I understand the 5, the 7, the 12. Where does the 13 fit into the Hermetic system?
Well, there's a lot. 13 is, in fact, there are 13 signs along the ecliptic of the zodiac.
Oh, the healing serpent, or the man holding the healing serpent, or something like that.
Yeah. It's the serpent bearer.
The serpent bearer.
Ophiuchus is in fact Asclepius, the healer. In fact, he is the healer because the serpent is the healer. He carries the serpent. Ophiuchus means the serpent bearer. So, and when the sun goes through that sign, there's about, I don't know, I think there's probably about 20 degrees of the ecliptic. The ecliptic is controlled by that particular constellation. But 13, you see, is Jesus and his 12. Jesus is the 13th. So it's the sun inside of the 12 sign. So it's always 13, you see. It ends up being 13. But the colours on the American flag are significant, the red, the white and the blue. You see, these are the same colours as the Union Jack, the British flag. And these are the signs of the colours of the signs of Israel. Because Jack, the Union Jack, is short for Jacob, and Jacob is Israel. So the Union Jack is uniting the 12 tribes of Israel. And America, the American flag...
Which means world domination. Can I pause right there?
Well, today... It does, but originally no. Originally, it didn't mean that. It's just symbology. But now, yes, it does mean that. I mean, because British is not the same as English. It's a Jewish word, and it means the covenant of the people of Israel. So it is Jewish. It is in fact Jewish, and that needs a lot of explaining, but the point is, those colours are the 12 tribes of Israel. And you see the Union Jack. Have a look at the cross that is on the Union Jack. It's a cross. It's the cross of the Isikiri, or the Jesus Christus. The cross that you see on the Union Jack, the British flag, is the sign that the sun makes as it goes from solstice to solstice. The shadow of the sun, which comes from a sundial, makes a cross on the ground. And that cross is the Christ. And the line that goes through the middle of the Union Jack, that is the shadow that the sun casts at the equinox. And the Vatican St. Peter's Square has a sundial in the centre of it. Now, for people who are interested in this subject, go to YouTube and watch a 10-minute video called Christianity Revealed. Christianity Revealed. And you will see the Union Jack sitting right in the centre of the Vatican St. Peter's Square. And you will see that as the sun rises eastward on the 21st of March, the sun strikes the obelisk in St. Peter's Square, and on the 21st of March, the day of the equinox. And its shadow is directly in the middle of St. Peter's Square, and it lines perfectly with the east, the star in the east. So they celebrate Easter, you see. And so the Union Jack contains the very, very same symbol, the cross of Constantine, or not of Constantine, but the one that Constantine saw, and when it said, in hoc signi vincit, or in other words, in this sign you will conquer. So this cross, the X of the solstice shadows is called chi, is the letter chi in Greek. And the shadow that the equinox casts is called Rho. And this is Chi Rho, the two letters of Christ, Christo, the Chi Rho. And it is this sign that creates everything in the physical, manifested universe.
Absolutely fascinating. That's just amazing. Well, as you can hear, another break has rapidly overtaken us. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We have Santos Bonacci. You're listening to Ron Paul Revolution Radio, carried on American Freedom Radio. All right, welcome back to Ron Paul Revolution Radio. I'm Rossi. Brocky will be joining us again on Wednesday. He's off for today, and we are joined again with the fabulous Santos Bonacci, a man in demand. Boy, you're really taking off these days, aren't you, Santos?
Yeah, it's happening. It's happening.
Yes, and that's fabulous.
Well, it gives me great joy because
me too.
Yeah, that's there is nothing better that I'd rather be doing. I mean, I love my music. I have the best job, if you like, job.
Yes.
Where I go to the city of Melbourne, and I plant myself in the heart of the city, the commercial hub, and I can weekly just go there and play my guitar, sell my CDs, and make a living. But this, to be able to talk about this and spiritual themes is much more important for me, even though I have the most beautiful job.
Yes, and you're a sovereign and individual. You can set your own hours. You're not, you're working for yourself. You're a very accomplished musician. I've listened to some of your music, and it's just so enchanting. It's beautiful. If you want to talk about it just briefly, we are trying to get out the Hermetic founding of the United States of America, but you combine like about three different of genres. Is that right?
Yep. Yes. It's jazz, flamenco, and Latin.
It is wonderful. It's edible. It's just amazing. Okay, let's see. So we were talking about the Hermetic foundings of the United States of America, and that, in fact, a great number. Why don't you go off the top of your head and just give us some of the names of our founders that you know for certain are coming from the Hermetic philosophical rather than the theological?
Yeah, well, you can tell by the way they think. Thomas Jefferson, of course, who exposed democracy as being mob rule. Andrew Jackson, who has on his tombstone, "I killed the banks." James Monroe, James Madison, Benjamin Franklin. We've given you a republic, lady, if you can hang on to it, he said to the woman who approached him at the convention when they established the republic. And those words are famous. And Thomas Paine, I just quoted his words. He knew that the Christian religion was a parody on the sun. You can tell these men were illumined. You can tell who the founding fathers were, and that they were deists and hermetists and mystical, spiritual people. They were spiritual people. They were not thinking about physical things. They were not perfect. There's not a one of them that has a perfect record or who professes to be a saint.
Of course not.
Yeah, they didn't profess they were saints, and neither should we go looking for faults that they had, but we should see their legacy, and we should understand who they really were and what they were trying to achieve.
Absolutely. I have this sort of motto that I go by, and because I investigate a lot of different people and a lot of different concepts, and my philosophy or my motto goes like this: nobody is 100% right, wrong, good, or bad. and what you see depends on where you stand, both literally and figuratively. And those two guiding principles really help me maneuver through, people's false weaknesses and their strengths. And I never expect anybody to be 100% of anything, because there's this duality that exists. And so that's how it goes. And I agree. We can certainly tear them apart. We can. There's a lot to be said as far as that goes. So that was some fascinating information you just shared about the Union Jack, and it's inside the Vatican Square of St. Peter. The way the colors fall, and of course the number 13 is Christ, 12 plus the 1, the Sun plus the 12 zodiac, and then of course the 13th house you described. Can you revisit that a little bit? That's always been an area of curiosity for me. You said it was the serpent carrier, or was it a healer, or what is that with or was it Orpheus? I can't pronounce it.
Ophiuchus.
Ophiuchus, thank you.
Ophiuchus, yes. This is a very enigmatic sign for many reasons, for which I will explain. But Ophiuchus, I'm actually going to do a presentation this Sunday dealing with astrology, and I will deal. And then the week after, I'll be doing one on astrotheology, and then the week after, I'll be doing another one called Prisca Theologia. And in this series, which will be entitled Prisca Theologia, part 1, 2, and 3, I will be dealing a lot with these themes. But if you want to know a little bit about Ophiuchus, you can see my video on YouTube called Know Thyself, Part 2. Know Thyself, Part 2. And I deal with Ophiuchus there. Ophiuchus is positioned just near Scorpio. In fact, Ophiuchus is standing on top of Scorpio, on top of the star, the red star in Scorpio called Antares. So it is basically standing on the head or the body.
When you the see backbiter?
Yeah, exactly. So he is bruising the serpent. In other words, he's bruising in the head, but he is being bruised in the heel. Now, I explain this in my video, Know Thyself, that this is part of the scene in Genesis where Eve takes from the fruit of the tree. You see, because Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer, is carrying a serpent, and the head of the serpent, called serpens caput, is right next to the scales of Libra. And Libra on September the 21st is the equinox. So the serpent, and of course Libra is the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. The fruit of the tree that Eve partakes of, Eve is Virgo, the sign Virgo. When Virgo turns into Libra, that is the virgin eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, because the scales of Libra, on one side you have good and on one side you have evil. And when the sun passes through the equinox on September the 21st, the equinox, the scales are there, and the sun now is at the point where it is tasting of good and evil. It tastes of the good summer, which it has just left behind, and it tastes of the evil winter, which it is now about to proceed to enter on that particular day.
Right. Can I interrupt you briefly?
Yep.
What about the Egyptian concept of the feather being weighed on the scales, that your heart must be light or something like that? Does that mythology and that Egyptian hieroglyphic, or excuse me, does that tie into the here?
Absolutely, it's one and the same thing. One and the same thing. All judgment takes place in the scales of Libra, in many ways, because Libra rules 6 p.m. sunset. When the sun or any star goes beyond the horizon, below the horizon, that star is considered to be judged in the west. The west, the Egyptians considered to be the place of death. The east was the place of birth, where stars are born. They rise in the east. They rise. The sun rises in the east. It's born from, like the prince in Cinderella. Prince Charming, he comes, Perseus rises with all his light and glory in the east, but then he dies at the sunset, at the scales, because Libra is there waiting every day to judge the sun. That's called Judgment Day. And it also corresponds, like I said, to September the 21st. So 6 p.m. and September the 21st are to be found there. And the animals in the flock are usually culled. The flocks are culled at this time. All the tender ones and all the sick animals and the lame animals, they are usually killed and preserved. The meat is preserved for the winter around about that time. And the Jews called the equinox, that particular day, they call it Judgment Day. And then they proceed with their festival Rosh Hashanah. Rosh meaning the head of the new year. And they also call it the Festival of Tabernacles. And they also call it Yom Kippur is there. And all of these festivals, because the Jews celebrate solar festivals. I mean, the Passover is in Easter time, when the sun passes over the equator, and Judgment Day is at the other equator. So they are none other than stellar, lunar, and solar cults. Christianity and Judaism, that's what they are.
Absolutely. I got to ask you, we are at the end of the program. We got just a few more minutes left, and I'm going to ask you a big question. How do you think it came that the United States, in all Commonwealth countries, that we got the class of judicial that wears the black robes, the cult of Saturn? How did Saturn become the judgment and the into that?
Well, because Hermes, Mercury, Thoth is the intellect. Saturn is the justice, the law principle, solar system, and our own bodies. Saturn rules our law.
Well, there you have it. Oh, I can't tell you how great it has been, Santos Bonacci. Thank you so much for joining us on Ron Paul Revolution and exploring the Hermetic founding of the United States of America. Your work is fascinating, and I wish you the best. And I just can't say enough. Everybody go to Mr. Astrotheology on YouTube, universefortruthschool.com.
No rules, no taboo topics, no fear of doom, We are American Freedom Radio.